Meta plays Genghis Khan Qualifiers number 2. This is the finale, best of 3, spawning in the north of these Golden Heights, playing as the Roos. It is NyanRacingCat spawning in the south, play as the English. We have GiveUAnxiety, which will most likely be referred to as GiveUA for short. GiveUA, one of my favorite players to watch because of rather uncharacteristic games, especially in the beginning when this game really started. Really does have some anxiety-inducing plays. Hopefully we see some of these on Golden Heights as the Dark Age kind of gets underway. NyanRacingCat learning a little bit from some of the game from GiveUAnxiety that hopefully a lot of you have seen before. Adding some fortified palisades. Sir? Oh wait, I'm hitting the wrong key. Sir? There is a bitey infantry. You really gotta... Yeah. Okay. Now with that villager at 5 health, that scout being able to get in there, he might be able to take down this villager if he gets a couple more hits. That wolf giving him plus 25 bounty, but might cost him a villager, and oof. That's a watery grave. Economic count now will be in favor of GiveUA for basically the duration of this Dark Age. Economic count 11 to 10 in favor of GiveUA. One of the great things about English that we can see right here, and yelling at Old English at me, is the fact that these villagers can use their short bows. These villagers taking a decent amount of damage here. GiveUA was able to make that villager run away, and just because this wall wasn't finished, we're able to see our first military unit from GiveUA of Vanguard Men-at-Arms come out, and this dock is not, 1, defendable, 2, existing. That dock is at about 60% health. Now GiveUA can get his own dock. Now, as we can see here from people that are trying to learn hybrid play, learning the hybrid meta for English, I think this was a fantastic way to use English. You use their benefits to basically perfection. As we use the short bows, we spent the initial wood on the barracks to get the Vanguard Men-at-Arms. With the Roos's capacity to only make spearmen, those Vanguard Men-at-Arms are going to reign supreme, going to make sure that dock doesn't go up. NyanRacingCat doesn't bother with a barracks either. I really like NyanRacingCat's build as he goes into Dark Age. However, as we saw it against GiveUAnxiety, he was able to get the second dock up quicker. He was able to get the Lodges up quicker because of the fact he waits to get that lumber camp going. And that he continued to wait. He got some of these straggler trees. He was able to get the wood. The issue is that first dock didn't go up. Wasn't able to spend that wood anywhere. GiveUA now getting his food economy essentially underway with his dock. Going to make a couple fishing ships. Back home, using some straggler trees of his own. Again, with that change, having the straggler trees a little bit close to the hometown center means you can afford to do this. You can take a little time in order to do that. And then he'll be able to pump out his own fishing boats. So now, as we know how water works in Age of Empires 4, a lot of people will say, and especially a lot of people on Reddit, you won water, you won the game. And most of the time that is true. As we see, GiveUA did win water in Dark Age. However, maybe NyanRacingCat has something up his sleeve. I know last time he lost water against GiveUAnxiety, he went for more of a fast castle. So we'll see if he's able to do that, but does go up with the Kremlin again. We've been seeing a lot of Kremlin action, and I'm so happy for it. The Kremlin was something that nobody used, and then as soon as those changes came from Season 4, we're seeing a lot more Kremlin. And I'll tell you what, since the change, I've been seeing a lot of gremlins. Coming out here, we'll see some of those militia as well. And also, with the amount of influence that the Kremlin has, it's not, I don't think it's going to get to this lumber camp. But it will hit this one once he makes one. A little bit up north. Now that the Vanguard Men-at-Arms doesn't really have anything to do, this dock getting destroyed, These Vanguard Men-at-Arms are going to try to create a little bit of idle time, and it does successfully. Also, just harassing these villagers, which this villager, I think, was trying to make this dock somewhere else, went into Narnia somewhere. And Vanguard Men-at-Arms was able to find it. Now, I want to take just a little bit of a peek. We are playing with a Roost player, so I want to take a look at this Roost bounty, and right now only at 170. The fact that it's at 170 means he's not going to get that bonus of having plus 15% food increase. But NyanRacingCat is the first one to feudal with that Kremlin. We'll put down a mining camp. We'll be able to get some gold. Again, not having the Golden Gate, arguably one of the best landmarks in the game, not having that Golden Gate with him is going to make him actually make a Roost mining camp in feudal. Crazy. I know. When was the last time you saw one of those? On the flip side here, we have our Kremlin militia. We could take a look here. Obviously, they kind of work essentially like spearmen, but I'll tell you, look at the design on these guys. Look at that giant, I don't even know what weapon that's called. They give me a, just says a militia axe. Okay. It kind of looks like an executioner's scythe, more or less. But anyway, having the ability to have its own attack does have a time on it, though. 90-second lifetime for some of you guys who haven't seen the Kremlin before. Got to realize that in 27 seconds, wherever they are on the map, they will turn into a corpse. So we'll see if they can rain some havoc over here on this dock. Now, NyanRacingCat, with the economic disadvantage because he doesn't have that dock, going to make more of a landmass. Going to try to raid some of these villagers, hopefully by the wood line. This wood line looks a little bit raidable, especially for how many villagers are up here up north, and we'll probably start congregating even more north depending on the trees that they cut. But the Roost early night, first one, hitting the battlefield. With GiveUA going up with Council Hall, he's making Longbowman for himself. Won't do too well against that knight, but if NyanRacingCat starts to make archers of his own, Longbowman obviously outclassed them. And it looks like NyanRacingCat, because of the economy that we're seeing and how many he had on stone, we have a second town center. He's trying to recover some of that economic loss from not having the dock. He's going to put a town center right next to this deer patch, going to make sure his food is stabilized. These early men-at-arms getting some target practice, slashing these deer to bits. And people call PETA on Roost all the time. These guys are going hand-to-hand combat and taking that thing down. So, you know, who do we really call PETA on, guys? Second town center getting up. The axe is called a bardiche. Ooh, thank you. Thank you, chatter. I'll never forget that. With the second town center coming up for NyanRacingCat, hopefully he can stabilize in that economic count. GiveUA, that I've seen GiveUA do probably within the last, I don't know, like 4 to 6 months. GiveUA going for this defensive build, and he's getting more comfortable as the months progress. He's getting a lot more comfortable in the defensive atmosphere. Playing as English is going to give him the ability to do that, even adding some farms over here. Noticing he doesn't need that much on wood anymore. He has his fishing economy pretty much stabilized. He has his galley patrolling. He's even walling around. Look at what he's doing. He's walling all the way around the shoreline, making sure that a dock can never be placed. That part, that little bit of economic process is his and will remain his. NyanRacingCat trying to get a raid going. Looks like GiveUA only has men-at-arms. One spearman has been completed out of his barracks, but you got to remember his barracks is all the way in a different zip code. So we'll take a little bit to get there. No secondary barracks for him. GiveUA, because of this increased food economy, I'm going to keep panning back to it, because you can't forget during this game, you cannot forget how important it is. GiveUA does have the food economy at 570 a minute, surprisingly similar. compared to NyanRacingCat. A little bit because of the bounty, a little bit because of how many villagers he has on it. But GiveUA looking for, most likely, some Castle Age. He's taking a lot of villagers off of wood here. And going on to this deer patch to get to bolster his wood economy up just a little bit. NyanRacingCat trying to stop any raiding from happening, building some roost fortified palisade walls. Looks like he wasn't able to get all of them completed. Look at that cheeky palisade wall that you wouldn't be able to see unless I flip the camera. But there it is, right there. And of course, because we are watching a roost player play, we got to be talking about our boar. It looks like he had some pulled pork perfectly. How's that for an alliteration? Right next to this hunting cabin. I'm gonna make sure he's getting good food economy here. Might benefit NyanRacingCat from taking down this boar as well, just to get that extra plus 75 gold. So he's trying to get to Castle Age. We see GiveUA as English going to be able to get up to Castle Age just a little bit quicker. King's Palace, 13 villagers on it, will be completed very shortly. And now when English gets into Castle Age, as we see from this council hall, we're going to be able to pump those crossbowmen out at increased speed. NyanRacingCat following Castle Age, actually not too far behind. Believe it or not, GiveUA just completing at the 12:15 mark. And NyanRacingCat will get completed probably in about a minute or so, maybe a little bit less. Going with the high trade house. Any guesses in chat for the high trade house? I'm going to guess based on a bounty that's about 250. I'm going to say, this is going to be low. I'm going to say 69. Nice. Nice. And Knight trying to get some raid over here on the south side. Looks like they're not going to get much of any worker kills. 3-1. In here, roadkill at 175. I don't know. I think that's a little too high. They only have this little bit of trees. I think based on bounty, I should give you guys the bounty, actually. For NyanRacingCat, it is at 345. So is at the 250, not necessarily at the 500 mark. So we'll check back on that. King's Palace starting to pump out those villagers, making sure that the economic count continues to be high in GiveUA's favor. And this is what a lot of the English does. They sit back, they get their booming, they do their booming thing, and then all of a sudden they have a massive onslaught of army that just starts creeping and knocking down your base. 182. Roadkill said 175. Oh my god, somebody. All right, well, I think that means because he was less than 10 off, he wins Price is Right and he wins a brand new car, I think. GiveUA getting some of those Castle Age upgrades. Gonna go with the Longbowman and the Iron Chad armor. Being at 6 armor, 4 melee, and range. And NyanRacingCat, gotta remember, as the Roost Warrior Monks, they're quite the unit. Adding Saint's Blessing, probably one of my favorite things in the entirety of this game. So we'll see if it actually plays an impact. Look at that wooden fortress with the Springold upgrade. That spearman needs a medic. That took a Springold shot to his lumbar spine. He's gonna, if anything, he needs an MRI, right? Has a castle turret as well for that wooden fortress. So we'll be protecting that boar. Night raid trying to happen on the south side. Still trying to get these villagers. Good presence of mind from GiveUA just to get outposts everywhere. We have villagers coming in at different angles. We have knights trying to get raids, men-at-arms from this barracks in, again, a different zip code. I know I said that joke before, but I liked it the first time, so I said it again. And it looks like he's trying to scout out where that high trade house is. Look at this soft underbelly of villagers. For NyanRacingCat, if he doesn't spot this, Longbowman might be able to pick a lot of these vills off. And these men-at-arms do have so much armor. You wonder how they move with how many plates of armor they have. but did find a couple villagers to kill. Worker kill count 7-1 in favor of GiveUA, which does reflect in the economic count of 66-61. With GiveUA winning, NyanRacingCat has to pull some of his knights, which is a pretty good army comp as to what is over here. We're seeing a lot of men-at-arms just because of the base damage of knights. That 6 armor for the men-at-arms not going to be as effective. Over here on the east side, trying to take out more of these villagers, GiveUA is just being consistently annoying. Trying to take out some of these villagers, he's creating a lot of idle time. That's about 15 villagers worth of idle time. Does lose some men-at-arms in the process, but we can take a look at his food per minute. As you see up there on the north, west, and east part of your screen in the top corner, GiveUA with food per minute of about 1,400. Why? Why is that happening? Well, one, he has some of these farms that are going to help him out. Does have some more farms that are going to help him out. But again, we're talking about these fish. We're talking about these fish again. They're just starting to run out, so might go to shoreline fish eventually. But military count trying to equalize a little bit with count 19-16 in favor of GiveUA. Army value obviously higher for NyanRacingCat just because of the fact that he has so many knights. English does have knights of their own, both of which are not upgraded in any way, shape, or form by the blacksmith. And I don't think, I'm not sure, I want to do a quick scan of this base. Ooh, cheeky tower. Trying to get some of these deer over here, and does have that sacred site essentially walled off. I want to take a look. I don't see any blacksmith from either of these players, actually. Unless I'm missing it. I know GiveUA has gotten techs like Iron Chad, but that's coming out of the barracks. NyanRacingCat does have a blacksmith. It is got some of these technologies, I just can't happen to find it. But on the flip side, over here in the north, as these armies are starting to congregate around the Rus' second town center, we do have a lot of knights here, and we do have a lot of warrior monks. These warrior monks are going to not only heal these knights, which is going to create a tremendous amount of value, but they are going to provide Saint's Blessing. And when Saint's Blessing hits, I promise you, I'm going to lose my mind because of how important it is. These knights going to be able to get some of the back range. Not that much spearmen over here. Take a look at Saint's Blessing. Everybody is lit up with +1 armor on both sides, +2 damage. This is really going to help him out in the fight. GiveUA does not have network of castles, network of citadels in this area. Look at this cleanup. There's a reason why there was a cleanup here, ladies and gentlemen. And it's because all of these knights were blessed. NyanRacingCat does take the military lead, 23-19. Again, army value obviously a lot higher because most of these are knights, and he's starting to add a little bit of crossbowmen for himself. Going to help in that knight category. This is spelling doom for GiveUA. He has warrior monks back here, which what I would assume to be in that monastery, just starting to get herbal medicine. It will be completed momentarily, so although these warrior monks are nerfed just a little bit in terms of their healing prowess while in battle, along with all of the other monks, shamans, imams, etc., the fact that they have herbal medicine is going to make sure, and they're going to stay alive. NyanRacingCat also has Boyar's Fortitude. As we can see, all of these blacksmith upgrades are coming up for him. These knights are continuing to be blessed, and they have +30 health, which is really going to help him out. GiveUA trying to get mostly spearmen in his army composition. He's got mostly spearmen, he's got mostly crossbowmen now, which might be able to help take down these knights. The issue is there is a lot of idle time. Little raid, cheeky raid from GiveUA up here on the north side. A lot of these villagers are going to end up going down if NyanRacingCat is not paying attention. And all of these knights are able to just ransack their way down the hill. GiveUA denied off of this gold, just started mining it, it looks like. It is trying to get raids in these other opposite directions. There's some in the south. These units in the north are starting to retreat. There are a lot of dead villagers here. Worker count, kill count, 19-16 actually in favor of NyanRacingCat more. because of the ability of those knights trying to get in there, get those villager raids, and now all of these guys will get healed up. Oh, don't you love a good? I know there's a lot going on here, but man, I love a good Saint's Blessing, and I can't say it enough how important that is in that initial fight. Now, economic count pretty much the same, 82 to 80. A lot of these fishing boats down here running out of deep water fish. Got to get the shoreline fish, which are not as effective, not as conducive. Military count has somewhat even. And GUA, now that he has the economy, that second town center, been pumping out villagers ever since probably about the 10th-ish minute, is able to endlessly get these production buildings popping. NyanRacingCat continuing to add knights in his army comp, has crossbowmen as well, along with all of the warrior monks that will provide the blessings upon us. So let's see if he's able to do that. A lot of these stone mine left wide open. NyanRacingCat has the presence of mind to put a lot of them back here to make sure a lot of them go down. These crossbowmen do not have the extra power against these spearmen. These knights are blessed, but there's a lot of crossbowmen here. I'm not sure if these knights are going to hold up. Let's watch this battle to see how it happens, and it looks like all of these knights are going to end up getting taken down. This was a poor fight from NyanRacingCat as terms of army value goes. The only thing that's really saving him is this little villager raid over here in the south, but he lost a lot of army value. Mangonel coming in on the backside from NyanRacingCat. Man, that would have been really good against this crossbow mass that was here. But now he doesn't have the military to protect this. And that Mangonel, as quickly as it arrived in battle, it's turned to shrapnel. Another raid trying to get that onion layer of fortified palisade walls. Once it gets through, though, it will end up getting a decent amount of villager kills. Now, NyanRacingCat with a lot of vill kills over here. We had some vill kills on the wood line, as we see on south. So even though NyanRacingCat lost that battle, did he necessarily lose the war? You can't safely tell me that he has. Military count 61 to 21, 62 to 22. Economic count 94 to 73 in favor of the feline. And it looks like NyanRacingCat running out of some of these Gaia food resources this boar. Probably running out soon at about 150. Trying to establish a little bit of map control to get some of these deer carcasses. Not going to happen for him. Going to end up having to retreat north. He's continuing to make mangonels out of this, which I can appreciate very much. There is a ranged mass over here. Mangonels also not going to do much damage if you're packed, but does get a good shot of those crossbowmen. A couple crossbowmen go down, but now that's the only thing that are left. That's so much resources. We take a look at 600 resources each. 1,200 just get destroyed to kindling on the ground. NyanRacingCat pulling his get out of jail free card, trying to add some militia in this battle. The only thing is, because of how many longbowmen are here, those militia are gonna get struck down very quickly. I think the difference is the GUA winning that first battle. It's going to take so much in terms of production. But now with that military count being lower, that means he can't handle a lot of these raids that are back home. We got knights over here. Militia are called to arms as a defensive structure to try to get rid of some of these horsemen, some of these knights, and they're going to be able to do that successfully. The issue is these militia not only have a lifespan, but they are slower. Look at these knights. There's so much area for these knights to take. They're just picking off villagers left and right. So many worker kills on both ends. 40 to 28. NyanRacingCat still has the lead on worker kills, but these horsemen and knight have something to say about it. Looks like we found some random knights in the abyss for NyanRacingCat. found by English knights. And now that this Castle Age has transformed into, I would say, the late Castle Age period, this is English's time to shine. As we see their military count over double. We can see GUA having a stable stone supply over here as well. We'll probably see some English keeps. And we'll probably see, as I like to call it, not only English keeps, but English creeps. They make their keeps, they put trebs behind it, they start taking down your buildings, they build another keep. Good mango shots on some of these longbowmen. This is a big battle right now. One, Mangonel still in there, going to be able to get a good shot. Only 4 longbowmen end up going down. But look at how much military there is. This is just an encirclement. And a lot of these men-at-arms not being able to go down very quietly. All of this siege, which is so expensive for NyanRacingCat, getting absolutely destroyed. RacingCat cannot keep up with this production. And ultimately taps out. That battle over the height of that golden height obviously was monumental, but how did we get there? Right? Let's take a look at some of this. Let's take a look at some of the timeline in terms of how we actually got there. Pre-nerf Springald's hold. That dude, true. If they were pre-nerf, no, actually, if this was pre-nerf and these were Springalds, like a year ago, there would be 15 of them just wrapped around the sacred site. And there wouldn't be any other units. But, I know I'm hyperbolizing, but let's take a look at this count here. Taking a look at the villager count. NyanRacingCat had that little bit extra just because of that second town center. Even though GUA had the King's Palace, there were a little bit of raids there. But the economy count was obviously inflated by GUA because of the fact that he had water, right? We take a look at the military count. There's a reason why water is as good as it is. Having that extra food, making sure that you can get those units, it means both of them were able to muster up a little bit of a fight. Roos does a really good job at pumping out Castle Age units and can really get themselves super high. But the difference is your ability to sustain it. GUA is able to sustain it. He has farms that are getting that increased food bonus all the way in the back of his base, relatively unharmed for the duration of this game. NyanRacingCat had to go for a lot of Gaia food resources, and as you can see here on the north part of the screen, if you guys are 20/20 vision, you can see some farms getting added by NyanRacingCat, and I wasn't able to highlight it before the end of the game, but that farm transition was going to happen. Because of using all of that wood, not going to be able to bolster up an army with any kind of siege superiority. That's for sure. Spawning in on the western side of the map of Dry River. Not as the Ottomans, it's the Mongols, GUA, close enough. And then NyanRacingCat playing as the Ottomans over here on the east side. Now GUA again using that Gur, getting a little bit of those sheep. GUA also playing as the Mongols, making sure he's getting that barracks out. Whoops, I hit the thing again. GUA getting that barracks out around the Uvu, getting the 2x production. Now there's a difference in play that we've seen. We've seen an Ottoman mirror on Dry River, where NyanRacingCat went military school, Donato went barracks from the game that we saw before. NyanRacingCat continuing the same build, going for military school, and then going for barracks. So his goal is to make sure an initial dock gets stopped. And what Donato did in that game was he went for a dock almost immediately. If I remember correctly, it was on this pond. Went there almost immediately. And NyanRacingCat was able to fish it out, pun very much intended, with his spearmen, and was able to snowball from there. Now, GUA going for a similar build, trying to split his spearmen up, making sure he can find whatever dock is there, if there is a dock present. Might be able to suss it out. and try to find one, but no dock from either player. Both players are more consumed with stopping a dock from happening. See, this is kind of, when you put the initial dock up, if you do that immediately, you're playing checkers. These guys are playing chess. They're making sure that these docks are never going to be completed in the first place. NyanRacingCat having actually a spearman bonus. Only one extra spearman for NyanRacingCat. But now GiveUA just hit his 2+, and now the count is 5-4. And the military school and the barracks isn't going to give him the same as a 2x production. Ooh, got to be careful. That con from GiveUA on the west side almost went down. This was almost a GG in chat. But that con ends up staying alive. The scout might not, if it doesn't get microed correctly. Actually, GiveUA's spearman going to be able to pick it off. There's already multiple battles going on, and we're not even eclipsing the 4th minute. This is going to be a game of continuous battles back and forth. And I'm going to be talking about the military count as we keep going throughout Dark Age because of how important it is. Now, with the extra spearmen coming from the military school and the barracks, it's actually kind of equaled out, being at 6 each. GiveUA has not been producing more. And it looks like, based on what we have here, we have 3 villagers with this GER and an outpost getting completed. For him, it's not about getting the dock up, it's just making sure that one wasn't completed. Now, he's thinking about going up to Feudal Age on this one, and will get there eventually. On the flip side, NyanRacingCat, there's nothing on this gold. He does not care about Feudal Age and whether it gets finished or not. Now, NyanRacingCat does have a dock over here on the north side. GiveUA's con obviously sees it, and also pulling some pork in the process. But now that boar ends up going back, and GiveUA will be able to take a fight around this dock. Scout going down, surprisingly evening the military count. That villager is going to end up escaping, I would believe. And look at all of these reinforcements from NyanRacingCat. He knows that he has to preserve this dock. Losing this dock, it means multiple things. There are a lot of resources that go down the tubes for NyanRacingCat. There is raid bounty that GiveUA could get that progresses him to Feudal Age sooner. And GiveUA is going to be up in Feudal Age a lot sooner, going with Deer Stones. So not going to stick around in Dark Age too much. NyanRacingCat, a little bit of a missed micro here, as the spearman that he has, although he has extra, it means that only coming in at one at a time, one spearman was able to get targeted, ends up going down. This dock now at about half health. And I think what a lot of GiveUA is trying to do, not necessarily take the fight, just try to get this dock down to burning, so he has to pull a villager to come all the way back. Now, NyanRacingCat with the Vizier point. I don't want to take the screen off of this battle that might ensue. A little bit of missed micro from GiveUA, or from NyanRacingCat again, excuse me. Some of these spearmen end up going, but not all of them. Now, there is your raid bounty, ladies and gentlemen, and I think I wanted to see if he got a little bit of extra raid bounty, but that did not happen. Now, NyanRacingCat, with his first Vizier point, added the imams. He's trying to trap this imam together. Doesn't really care if he loses a lot of these spearmen in the process. He wants to make sure at least one of these go down, because if one of them do end up going down, it means one imam can't heal each other, and that first one does go down. Second one trying to run for its life. NyanRacingCat is trying to preserve this imam as best he can. GiveUA doesn't care that there is other spearmen there at all. It means nothing to him. He's just really looking towards getting to make sure that healing unit is not present, and does end up going down in a watery grave. And apparently there's some kind of black hole under this part of the pond, because it gets sucked up and it will be down. NyanRacingCat going for the twin minaret on the other side. It will take a little while for it to be completed, while GiveUA on the other side going to be able to add in archery range, but he does not add just regular plain old archers. He's got Mangadai. He's got the micro. Look at him. He's moving those Mangadai around. He's kiting these spearmen. And this is the first time we have seen a Mangadai in its current form. Look at how quick it fires. That's insane. It does have less damage per shot. But for how quickly it fires, oh my gosh. Just having two of them, these spearmen are dead. GiveUA does lose this fight over here on the northeast. Not paying attention to the con. It's on 1 health, and it's able to get away. Insane. NyanRacingCat senses how important the Twin Minaret needs to get completed, and does so with 18 villagers. Is going to add some extra military production building. Adds the archery range because he does have a little bit of extra wood. Now we have a lot of spearmen. Over here, 11 to be exact. And the hardened upgrade does get completed. There are a lot more spearmen for NyanRacingCat, but because of how flimsy they are, the Mangadai are able to kite. There are no health lost on any of these Mangadai. Just having 2 or 3. GiveUA has just having 2 or 3 in this battle, and now sending foot archers, which are a little bit less expensive. But these Mangadai, being able to just 2 or 3 of them kiting them around. NyanRacingCat, I think his APM looks pretty taxed at this point, the way he's just kind of wandering around. On the flip side, back home, another dock has been made on the southern side by GiveUA, and a second dock from NyanRacingCat here as well. So there was a lot of emphasis on this first dock because it was the first dock that was discovered. However, I don't know if GiveUA has spotted this southern dock. It would be very beneficial for him to scout around just to make sure that no other docks are getting completed. So this Mongolian dock, not as quick, but GiveUA trying to get a raid as best he can over on the east side, creating a lot of idle time. There was a lot of idle time here because of the berries, but look at how much food NyanRacingCat has stocked up. He's stocked 1,000, 1,100 food. On the flip side, GiveUA beating him to it. Here's a Castle Age step redoubt. I know we've been seeing a lot of Kurotai, but you gotta remember how good this step redoubt is. Another Vizier point going for NyanRacingCat, and I think he got Anatolian Heights, getting the extra 8. And look at how good these Mangadai are going to raid. Creating all that idle time. There are 30 villagers over here on this wood line. If we can look at how many villagers are at what, this is basically all of the land economic units. For NyanRacingCat, GiveUA hitting Castle Age. NyanRacingCat probably sad, I would imagine. GiveUA will be able to get some of those armored units a lot quicker. And we see another stable. We see a stable going up, a second stable with a barracks as well. GiveUA, the only thing he really has to do, stabilize his food economy, make sure he can push out a lot of those gold-intensive units. NyanRacingCat essentially stuck in feudal, trying to get up to castle, but he feels so behind in terms of military, and it feels like he's consistently being raided. He needs some kind of a military mass to make sure he doesn't have a lot of villagers that go down. So he's continuing to make things out of his barracks, out of his archery range, which is just essentially delaying his castle age. But if he feels like he doesn't, he's dead. And that's kind of the catch-22 that we're going to see NyanRacingCat face and see if he can actually get up to castle. Because of that prayer tent going up for GiveUA on the western side, going to be able to grab some relics, get some of that passive gold income. NyanRacingCat now with the military lead of 32-9 is going to try to get some raiding going on, but these lancers coming out 2 at a time. there are feudal age spearmen going up against these castle age lancers. Now, you're going to lose a decent amount of value, as GUA would. But adding men-at-arms as well. These 3 Mangudai have been worth their weight in absolute gold for how many units they ended up taking down. Now, with the Mangudai behind them, these lancers can safely just go wherever they want because of how many spearmen are going to be ending up going down in the process. No upgrades for these lancers quite yet. I don't necessarily see a blacksmith out here either. NyanRacingCat finally, with the resources to go up to Castle Age, is going with the MIA, which makes sense. He is going to need some siege. On this other side, we have a nice little naval fight going on. A war junk over here against these Ottoman fishing boats, and I can't click on it unless I rotated the screen, but there is an arrow ship from these guys as well. GUA sees that with his knights, with his Mangudai, we'll be able to take this dock down and make sure that that part is secure. So I would say, as far as pond count, GUA up 2 to 1, and we'll be able to get the rest of these fish here. Now with the MIA getting completed, blacksmith finally getting made for NyanRacingCat. These military schools will be able to pump out some better units. Looks like just first Sipahi coming out, just spearmen and archers. GUA looking for some raidable areas in the south. Does have a night raid going on. A lot of these units from NyanRacingCat not doing anything now decide to move. We'll be taking that. Look at what GUA does. He sends all of these spearmen back here, knows that they're all slower. Sends them all the way down here just so the spearmen are out of position to maybe get a raid on the opposite side. This was fantastic. It was fantastic work by GUA. These Mangudai finally might end up going down because of the fact of that outpost being there. With arrow slits, those Mangudai are caught. Both of them will end up going down. Military count still high for NyanRacingCat, 38 to 24, but in terms of army value, consistently even, just because of the kind of units that we're seeing. We're seeing men-at-arms, we're seeing lancers, we're seeing raids on multiple sides. NyanRacingCat going for the Vizier Janissaries, I would imagine. No, he did not. Might have been just a misclick. But is going for crossbowmen and only adding a couple Janissaries into his army comp. Now, GUA might have less military on paper. I'll tell you what though, it feels like a lot more just because of how many different areas he has. Good raids from GUA, worker kill count, as you can see in the bottom left hand part of your screen, 10 to 0 in favor of GUA, and is getting both of these sacred sites. Will probably establish the one in the south as well, just making sure he consistently controls this map. Another shaman coming out here, making sure he's getting all these relics. He's going to get all 5 relics in this game. Knights trying to get a raid here on the south side. Not going to be able to get anything. Spearman actually trying to find this eastern shaman, and will end up taking that shaman down. I do see a mosque for NyanRacingCat. Might be able to pick that one up at some point, but in terms of passive generation, a lot more in favor of GUA. And I feel like this is a matter of time just before the game kind of flips on its head, as we see all of these relics getting dropped off. Gonna need to, this is a first world problem. Making sure that you have enough prayer tents to put your relics in. Super first world problem. I'm seeing a lot more men-at-arms for GUA on this one. NyanRacingCat trying to add crossbowmen to compensate. And this is one of the things about Ottomans that is frustrating. You feel ahead. You've gotten raids. You're doing a good job in that regard. But there are Vizier points to increase military schools. as NyanRacingCat has most likely gotten, there are things to make them produce 25% faster as well. So even though you're doing a good job at taking down their economy, you're doing a good job at making sure their worker count is kept to a minimum, which it is. He's been in a deficit for the entirety of this game. His military count is going to consistently be high because of these military schools. And it's going to make sure he doesn't have to turtle in his base. He's going to get a little bit of map control here. GiveUA trying to move these slow troops around. Not this Lancer, however. NyanRacingCat with a great pull. It looks like only one bill is going to end up going down. That middle sacred site does get neutralized. So GiveUA is not putting NyanRacingCat on a clock anymore. And now it looks like it's the job for the cat to be the hunter instead of the hunted. It looks like he's going to try to take it to him. He does have the military count in order to do that. Improved siege engineering does come in for GiveUA. So he will be able to build those mangonels. And maybe establish that little bit of Mongolian death ball that we see a lot of throughout the Mongols, especially in Season 3 we saw a lot of it. We hear these mangonels getting pushed in a particular direction. And I think because of the big ranged mass from NyanRacingCat, as you can see how many crossbowmen. 15, how many archers. We've got Janissaries in there too. All of these are foot soldiers, essentially for one night. So having 2 mangonels is going to be fantastic. He is trying to add 2 springolds, which will one-hit this mangonel. I don't know if he's going to get them up in time. We've got one at about 60 health, one at about 90 health. Let's see if he can actually get them up before they go down. Mangonel might be able to get some good shots here. Here's a couple mangonel shots. Good split by the cat. He has got cat-like reflexes, making sure they don't get picked off. A lot of crossbowmen end up getting hit on that one, though. And it looks like this mangonel will get preserved because of this Wololo. It makes them back up. This is a fantastic move by GiveUA, and I think he did get a couple in the process. Mangonel might be able to get a good shot here. Does get some wounded Ottoman ranged units. And this is a battle that's a victory for GiveUA. Military count 59 to 37. And I would say a lot of this, with army value essentially equal, I would say that GiveUA was the victor in this one. And that is a good highlight of how important it is to have siege superiority throughout these little engagements in Castle Age. Making sure he's having these mangonels in this fight makes him back up with this giant ranged mass that's here. And even though the Ottomans have MIA, even though they're going to get free, siege of how long it takes is obviously another different story. Adding another siege workshop to make sure he's getting more springles to take in this fight. Having a meter, obviously, which is important. But GiveUA with that fight, being able to retake map control. Going to be able to take this middle sacred site. One thing for GiveUA, because these Mongols, obviously no keeps. Right? So maybe we'll see some outposts around here. NyanRacingCat trying to get a little raiding party on this. GiveUA spots this immediately. And I think for people that play this game, that are watching, and watching how much is going on right now, being able to see that villager pull seconds before it happens. Oh, what a shot. NyanRacingCat not paying attention there. APM probably taxed, trying to get some raids going on the opposite side. Doesn't see that mango shot. Springold taking that Springold as well. Another one pops out of the siege workshop. Not going to be enough. Mango got one tapped. That Imam met its doom. Didn't pray hard enough, brother. And now these Springolds and having this siege superiority makes GiveUA have the ability to just kite NyanRacingCat all over the map wherever he wants to. The weird thing is, as we're seeing these both of these army masses, they've basically just changed where their front line is. Problem is, that's a bigger issue for NyanRacingCat, as GiveUA is going to be able to get a decent amount of raids here. GiveUA has all of his production firing as best as he can. And I think NyanRacingCat is going to go for some sort of a base trade of sorts, trying to get in there. He knows he can't take the Ottoman army right at face value. So he's going to try to take it in a different direction, maybe burn down some of these production buildings, take down some of these villagers that are on the pastures, and I'm waiting for GiveUA to recognize it, and he does. He pulls a lot of villagers over here. He's pulling villagers. None of them go into the town center. There is no fire going on these Ottoman mass. And look at this over here on the east side. More mangonels. They'll get there. I'm not sure when, but they will get there. And continuing to raid. Look at all of this from GiveUA. These are all easy villager picks. Economic count 77 to 57, and I know we're seeing this raid. Multiple villagers going down. Night enjoyers like myself are very happy to see this happening. But NyanRacingCat, I don't want to take my screen off of this mass, because both of these players with their military masses are essentially slow boulders. Oh no! GiveUA's mangonels running into NyanRacingCat. He's not going to try to take them out. He basically only has range mass here. 3 mangonel shots coming in. Only 3 for NyanRacingCat end up going down, but Sipahi trying to get a raid here in this particular area. Military count now for GiveUA that the economic value of his second town center has stabilized him. Economic count 79 to 53, plus with all the raids that are going on the south side, continue to be an issue throughout all of this. There's not been much of an answer in that particular regard. NyanRacingCat, his ranged mass here, and we're continuing to follow this throughout the duration of this game, basically made a giant circle. Remember, it started here, and if you follow my cursor, just made an entire loop around, or essentially through the town center, I should say. GiveUA continuing to mass up in the interim. These crossbowmen will get caught with their pants down, however, and will meet the end. But let's take a look at the siege. We have 5 mangonels here, 6 mangonels joining in from the south. We have a couple springolds that are going to help him out, and I think for the Ottomans, we have 1 springold here, and there's a second one somewhere, I believe. Look at all those mango shots. Oh, if he got at this choke point, because of that pathing issue, that would have been absolutely huge. Let's see this shot. Look at all those barrels brought. Just trying to get there, but it's not quite hitting that ranged mass. He's trying to hit a moving target right now. Only 1 mangonel, only 1 springold. The second one will be joining him from the south, but Men-at-Arms and the Spearmen will be able to take him out. And NyanRacingCat is just kiting this. He's kiting this army consistently. He's not going to have too much in the way of time if he continues to do this, with Sacred Victory being at 5 minutes and 30 seconds. But we're playing, I don't know. I don't even know what we're playing. Are we playing red light, green light? Are we playing hide and go seek with this army? We're just continuing to chase it. Or maybe it's tag. I don't know. There's a childhood game going on right now, but I can't necessarily think of the name. But Siege Workshop going down. NyanRacingCat on the east side, making sure he can't get some of these units. That Springold just stepped out into this world. This was a baby Springold, and its life was taken by the Mongolian Springolds over here on the west side. Military schools are starting to go down. Now this is the issue for the Ottomans if you want to learn how to beat these Ottoman players. If you get in front of their production, you start taking down for some of their production, they can't mass to that Ottoman pile. We have a little group of men-at-arms, a little group of spearmen over here that the Ottomans are able to clean up, but they can't beat this main mass, this main crossbow mass, because it's impossible for them to get a mango to stay alive long enough. And look at this crossbow mass of 24 and 1 archer. They will be able to take down these Jans, if they're able to focus them down, but it looks like just a little bit of a crossbowman war between them both. GiveUA, you got to be careful. I really don't want... If you throw this army, you throw this game. You have the siege superiority. Make the Ottomans come to you. And it looks like he will mop up all of these Jans and these crossbowmen, even though he is under an arrow or a tower over here with arrow slits. Now, the Ottomans, although a lot of their production is going away and reduced to ruins, they're going Imperial here with the Seagate Castle over here on the north side. Looks like some of this siege is ending up actually getting cleaned up against GiveUA. Are we going to see a comeback? There's 3 minutes and 30 seconds from this Sacred Site victory. A Springald casually tries to take that Sacred Site, just passing LOL JK. And up in the north, maybe they'll try to secure it with some of the villagers, and he will. With the Seagate Castle, it's going to be a little bit easier for him to do that. Now, all of this production is going down. The MIA is going to start getting torched down. Now, when NyanRacingCat hits Imperial, that Seagate Castle obviously is a defensive structure, so it will be a little difficult if he's going for a landmark victory, because the Sacred Site victory is about to run out. And I think for GiveUA, it wasn't necessarily winning a Sacred Site game. It was just creating the time crunch for NyanRacingCat. Military count now for GiveUA, 86 to 37 of the cats. MIA getting taken down. Imperial just going up. What an impressively looking town center for an Imperial building. But here's this range mass still back here. Maybe we'll get a good mango shot. Couple crossbows, couple Jans going down, but he has no answer for what's going on in the middle of his base. Town center's going down. He has a lot of outposts over here, GiveUA does, because it looks like NyanRacingCat going for a lot of stone, and I'm not really sure what he's attempting to do. Look at... Oh, no, I get it. I get it. A lot more stables. We know what he's going to do. He's going for a little bit of a scout. A Russian kill. The issue is, as much as I applaud the effort, 20 scouts are in queue. GiveUA sees all of this. He will know. And what does he do? Takes all of his military, comes right back to his home TC. GiveUA also has the ability to go up to Imperial if he wants to with the market. Look at all of these villagers that are going to end up going down. We know that this game is essentially over. Look at this. Look at this Ottoman town. It's reduced to ruin. These berry bushes look great. The rest of it, ruins. And these outposts are going to take out all these villagers. NyanRacingCat doesn't give a flying fladoodle about that. And he's just trying to get a little bit of food economy. Step readout all the way over here, gotta remember. And actually will end up going down. GiveUA also going for Imperial Age with the Cognate Palace in Season 4. We know that you can get some random armies, so now that GiveUA actually hits Imperial, let's see what pops out first. And it's Elite, Mangadite, maybe not as helpful. Yeah, he spotted this. I mean, this was an all-in attempt. But GiveUA able to sniff it out. All the scouts there not going to be helpful. And now with one extra landmark, it wasn't going to happen. So that was a 2-0 series win for GiveUA. He takes down number 2, Genghis Khan Legacy Qualifiers number 2, and does it in rather theatrical fashion with the Mongols. I don't know if that was what he was intending, but if he did that for style points, I'm flabbergasted.
We want to thank our MetaPlace website subscribers. Your contribution helps us keep the project sustainable. As we reach higher subscription goals, you are helping us cover more and more behind-the-scenes costs, such as video editing. Check out our subscription page using the link in the description, and remember to collect your perks. We will see you the next time.